On the evening of March the 26th, Rumeysa Ozturk, a 30-year-old doctoral student at Tufts University in America, was abducted in broad daylight by masked federal agents. She wasn't resisting arrest. She wasn't fleeing justice. She was walking to break her Ramadan fast with friends, and her crime, to date, none has been specified. Her only known transgression appears to be co-authoring a student opinion piece that criticised her university's silence on the Israeli assault on Gaza. Ozturk isn't accused of any criminal act. No charges have been brought, and yet she's been handcuffed, deprived of her phone, shipped off not to a courtroom, but to a detention centre in Louisiana, over 1,700 miles away, in apparent violation of a judge's order to keep her within Massachusetts. This isn't public safety. This is political theatre, censorship, dressed as national security. The Department of Homeland Security alleges that she was engaged in activities in support of Hamas, a designated terrorist organisation, but when pressed, they offered no proof, no specifics, just insinuation, a vague invocation of threat used to justify her disappearance. If this sounds familiar, it should. History is littered with examples of governments deploying the rhetoric of terror to crush dissent, from McCarthyism to the post-9/11 surveillance state. Today it's Palestinians and their allies. Tomorrow it could be you. What's unfolding here is not an isolated case, but a calculated campaign. And under the Trump administration, not even 10 weeks into existence, more than 300 student visas have already been revoked. The stated rationale that foreign students were abusing their visas to tear up our campuses. In truth, they were exercising the very freedoms that the US claims to uphold: speech, assembly, conscience. And Rumeysa Ozturk is no revolutionary. Her friends describe her as a gentle, private and scholarly individual. Her most notorious act of activism, organising a Thanksgiving potluck and co-authoring an editorial. That apparently is enough to have her paraded as a national threat. This seems to me to be more than repression. It's censorship codified through immigration policy. It's the weaponization of visa status to purge political opinion, and it's the criminalization of thought. Senator Ed Markey has likened it to Gestapo tactics. Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley called it a horrifying violation of constitutional rights. The Massachusetts Attorney General has condemned it as a disturbing ambush, and thousands have taken to the streets in Somerville, Massachusetts, demanding her release. The crackdown, disproportionately targeting Muslims, immigrants and pro-Palestinian voices, is not about national security. It's about silencing a narrative that threatens the status quo. And the administration conflates criticism of Israel with anti-Semitism, and then anti-Semitism with terrorism. The result, a chilling purge of academic freedom and lawful speech. Rumeysa's case is not simply one about one scholar or about one arrest. It's about what kind of country the United States is becoming and how that leadership is going to impact other countries around the world. If speech can be criminalized, if visas can be revoked without process, if criticism of foreign policy is equated with terrorism, then the First Amendment is not worth the parchment it's printed on. To support Ozturk is to support freedom of conscience. To defend her is to defend the idea that academia is not the handmaiden of the state, but its mirror and often its critic. I think we should be calling to free Rumeysa Ozturk, and I hope her silencing will speak louder than those who attempt to mute her. This is an abhorrent abuse of the law, and I think, broadly speaking, unless somebody has been proven to do something criminal, they should certainly not be detained on this basis. The detention is wrong, and it's not as if she is undocumented. She is very well documented. She doesn't need to be restrained. People who are students who have a lot of paperwork are not going to go anywhere. Like public figures, they're not going to go anywhere. They don't need to be put in prison while an investigation takes place. This is this is intimidation. This is censorship, and it's unnecessary. And yes, if there are crimes, they need to be investigated. It doesn't seem to me that there's any crime that's been committed here, but I'm just observing.